Welcome to Iron Truth with your hosts, Tampa Joe, Magnum Mike, Proud Lion Brian, and Dre Day. Now, Iron Truth.
Welcome to Iron Truth. This is Tampa Joe. I'm here with Magnum Mike, Dre Day, Proud Lion Brian. Today we're at the La Fronta Lounge again. It's a good place to be. I think it is. And today we're just smoking on our cigars. What are you smoking over here, Proud Lion Brian?
I forgot. Completely and utterly forgot. I know it's not that size.
Right.
I literally forgot what it was.
Okay.
It was like an hour ago, to be fair. I completely forgot what I was going to smoke.
I'm smoking a Habano Santinco, whatever I can't pronounce the last part of the name. But it is a factory throwaway secondary smoke, which I love. Dre has the same thing. Mike is just winging it tonight. Has his water, he's chilling.
Why do they call it a factory throwaway?
We talked about that in the last one. What
Yeah.
that means is basically the stuff that's left over, they just put it into the cigar.
So it's just a short filler stick.
Yeah, but it's amazing. I swear by these.
Okay.
These things are JR Cigars has them. It's awesome.
I think it's not sticking because I'm used to calling them short fillers.
Right.
When you say factory throw, because there used to be a thing called factory seconds. Basically, they would want to make a cigar line.
Yeah, this is a factory second.
Well, no, because seconds were still long filler. They just weren't ones that cleared the quality control for that particular
Right.
stick.
Right.
But they were still long filler. That's short filler.
Mm-hmm.
So it wouldn't technically be a factory second. It's just a short filler stick.
That's what it's selling on the bag.
So what did it sound
It's I had because you get these in 20 packs. So yeah, I got it. It was on the bag. It said second. It said what you said.
It said seconds? Did it say long filler?
I don't believe so. I don't remember. I just remember it was JR Cigars that said secondary smoke.
You gotta see it.
Well, it doesn't describe the fullness of the leaf or how, you know what I mean? It doesn't describe if it's a short filler or not. It doesn't go in details.
So today's topic, we're talking about know yourself, know your worth. And also later on, we're going to be talking about fronting. And fronting goes on both sides of the spectrum. Whether you're living a fake life or you're fronting like you're something that you're not. And we're going to get into that a little later. But for right now, we're just talking about know yourself. And with this topic, we're going to start with Dre. Because Dre Day knows what he's talking about on this one. So go ahead, big dog.
All right, so we're going to start off by, you know, when I was speaking on the topic of knowing yourself, I'm speaking on the part where, you know, the dynamics between, like the relationship between a man and a woman pretty much, right? And I'm advocating on the male side because it seems like, you know, we kind of have a misunderstanding of the relationship between, you know, how things work between us. So pretty much just know what you need to work on yourself to not be lacking in any way, form, or fashion. You know, work on yourself financially, work on yourself physically, work on your physique to be the best of the best, work on your finances to be the best of the best, you know, and your mental strength and discipline to resist what stops you in this system to the best of the best. Pretty much.
And how would that work? Like in the sense of like if someone's weak-minded or they're just starting out in that, how would that work?
Well, the first thing you focus on is for like, you know, what you always know what you're lacking on. Like anything that you're insecure in, you work the hardest at. Like things that are able to be changed, things are logical to be changed. Like for instance, if you feel like you're not muscular enough, you know, you feel like you want to be bigger and stronger, you go to the gym and you work as hard as possible. You find all the nutritional plans to improve on your physicality, you know, to make it as, you know, as attractive, as beautiful, as artistic as possible. And if you see that, you know, you need, you know, step your game up a little bit when it comes to, you know, the things you wear, what you drive. You know, I know it sounds vain, but it's good to work on because that helps you to have more confidence. When you have more, it does bring more confidence.
Right.
People say money doesn't change you, but money do change you for the good sometimes. When you have more money, you tend to feel more comfortable. You sleep better at night. You know what I mean? You feel more confident in yourself because you know that you're secure. You have nothing to worry about.
Right.
You know? So those are the things that you work on yourself first and foremost before you ever consider, you know, trying to lock a woman in, you know? Because
One thing I realized though about what you're saying is that this system has dumbed us down so much that people don't know their worth and they don't know, you know what I'm saying, their self because they're boggled down by like, you know what I'm saying, like cell phones and you know what I mean, they're boggled down by video games.
Well, you know exactly why, because the thing is, you create a problem,
right,
and then anybody in marketing has a solution to that problem.
right.
So if I'm sitting there and you know you're sitting there watching TV, commercial,
Right.
every problem you could ever have could be solved by what's in those commercials.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. If I keep you in a state of lack, if I keep you in a state where you don't have that value, that self-worth, I can tell you who you are.
Right.
And
And
that's
because of that, they make that worldview a part of you. You know what I mean? Their worldview becomes your worldview.
and they put that label on you, and now you're a demographic.
Right.
Now you're somebody that's in that system, and that matrix is over the top of you.
But it's a bad thing to listen to those infomercials about 10 things to do to get a woman, how to improve yourself because every man's mind is unique in his own way. So you don't need another man to dictate what you need to do to improve yourself.
Right.
How do you improve yourself? You see what needs. Every man knows exactly what he needs to do to improve himself. That's not a question you ask on a general because every man. Not to say that we're different, but we work on it in different ways.
Right.
We have different speed levels. Our brain has different ways to process information. You know.
I don't know if I agree with the statement that every man knows how to improve himself.
Well, there's two ways to go about it. You know, you could have a role model where you're competing kind of with the perception of this other person, and then you can compete against yourself to better yourself and improve yourself. So you kind of have to have a gauge of where you're at. Like you have to have something that you can measure up to.
Right, but both of those are not yourself.
Right.
Because one is an ideal version of yourself, and one is an ideal version characterized of somebody else.
Well, that's why I
And
said.
that's where the fronting comes in, because if you're trying to be a poser, if you're trying to just copy someone else, it's
Right.
one thing to admire somebody and to hold them high and be like, man, I wish I could, get that skill, or I wish I had that ability, like, physically where, I'm trying to get a better physique, better body, or I'm trying to, work on my talent, like my artwork, my music, something like that.
Tell me the difference between fronting and somebody who is grinding and speaking into existence what they
Well,
want.
fronting we're talking about
Well,
later.
I mean, like, a lot of this is manifesting, right? Like, you hear that all the time. Like, people who are into Sylvia Brown and The Secret, talk about manifesting. But, fake it until you make it kind of has its limits. Fronting is where it's very obvious that you're a poser. It's very obvious that you don't have it.
Proof is in the pudding.
Exactly.
Proof is in the pudding. You know what I mean? I say like even with like I see all these ministries out here. I have a deliverance ministry. Okay, who have you delivered? You know what I mean? I have I have a soul saving. Okay, what souls have you saved?
The difference is pride.
Yeah,
You have to
proof's
be
in the
humble.
pudding.
If you're a humble person and you're able to say, I'm working up to that, that's a very different thing than saying, I'm the man, I'm here, I've arrived.
Right.
I mean, there's a confidence trick behind that, and I get that.
Yeah.
But that confidence trick only will get you so far. And I mean, realistically, that is a person telling you to front. That is a person telling you to fake it until you make it.
Right.
Because a lot of people, when they're trying to build their confidence, yeah, I get it. I mean, that's the same thing that you do with little kids. They do pretend play where they're like, oh, I'm this superhero. Very obviously not. You run around, you're like 5 years old, you're on the playground, you're not a superhero. You're not in the military, but you're putting that role model in your mind, play acting.
Well, like
in
for
adulthood,
instance, for
they'll do that
example,
again.
right? Just to simplify, like
Yeah.
somebody who fakes, right? They're gonna always have a solution to somebody. And believe it or not, bro, most of my life I'm a faker because I have the knowledge. A faker is somebody who has the knowledge to get it done, but they never put the work in. Right? Always able to tell you what to do, how to do it. You know, like a fat guy trying to tell you how to build your chest and your traps. He's never had a good aesthetic a day in his life. But he's trying to, I'm not speaking towards nobody. I'm just speaking generally because I've experienced a lot of men that's like this. Right? So a fronter always have information to improve you but never improve himself. So he's always putting on an image, a false image of what he's not.
But also, you know, when it comes to it, you know, they have a thing where it's like, you know, when they're working, you know, they have to put on a facade or a front in order to keep their job. You know what I'm saying? There's jobs I've lost because of the simple fact. You know what I mean? That I know myself. I'm not going to go past a certain limit because, like you said before a long time ago, the servitude. You know what I mean? Customer service, servitude. You know what I mean? Servant. So it's like you have that. You know what I mean? And it's like there's a line that shouldn't be crossed. You know, like it's like if someone, if a guy tells me jump, I'm gonna say how high. But if you start beating me with a stick at a job, I mean, and saying, you know, jump, we're gonna have a problem.
Of course. But again, I mean, customer service, I'm not saying that you can't be good at it because it does take patience, tolerance, a little bit of psychology. But it's kind of a talentless profession by itself.
Right.
It's usually paired with something else that you're doing.
Say
If you're a
that's
barista, you're making a coffee. If you're, somebody who's in some kind of manufacturing or craft, you have that in customer relations and dealing with people, maybe in sales.
Right.
But by itself, it's really just the basics of taking care of somebody.
With customer service.
Yeah.
Wait, so say that again. Customer service is a what? Is a skill?
It's not something that you have to have a skill at other than just sales, basically. Like it's something where you're not actually picking up something physical, it's something mental.
It's a different skill. I wouldn't say
Right, I mean, it's
without
interpersonal
skill.
skills, right? It's soft skills,
Yeah.
right? So if you want to back away from that, what you would have to do is you would have to get into the trades, you would have to become a craftsman, or you would have to do something that's more oriented with, electronics, something
I think for the
outside.
average able-bodied person, I think it is easier for them to pick up something heavy than to calm somebody down.
Yeah, but you have to remember when you go to
I
school.
think it takes less skill to pick something up and move it than it would to calm somebody down and get somebody who is disagreeable with you onto your side. I
By a
think that
long
takes
shot.
a lot more. I think that takes a lot more skill
Sir,
than just picking
Brian,
something up.
But I'm saying when it comes to
1 minute. By a landslide.
Yeah.
By a landslide. That level of strength
Yeah.
compared to physical strength,
Yeah. Completely.
it's a landslide.
Yeah.
It's not even close. That takes a level of discipline. You have to, it's not denying yourself, it's really empowering yourself. When you humble yourself, when somebody talks bad to you and you still get the job done,
Yeah.
the more powerful person is not the boss who is talking crazy to you. It's you who's able to do exactly what this crazy behind want.
Which I think
Your
takes way more
discipline,
skill.
right?
Your discipline.
It takes a lot of
Way
strength
more skill than
because
strength. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah,
and
your
that
discipline.
skill level transfers over to a woman talking to you a certain type of way, and you're not reacting. It's about not reacting to how you feel.
No, like if someone hates, but they have a good sense to control it. You know what I mean? Like where they get angry quickly, but they have a good sense to control it.
To channel.
But
to channel.
remember, again, this goes back again to the system because when you look at schools, when you go to school failed us because the simple fact is they're training workers. They're not training entrepreneurs. They're not training scientists. They're not training, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Well,
you
they
know,
can't.
yeah.
But I mean, the way I look at it, you look at just about any customer service job, okay? Unless you're in hard sales, it's the lowest paying profession.
Lowest pay.
Just about.
I was in customer service. I got paid $20 an hour. Right now, I'm in retail. I'm getting
It's a little different.
15.
Yeah, but you're doing more like boutique customer service. I'm talking about like just rank and file, like every average person
Netflix.
that's go to like fast
I
food or
did customer
something.
service for Netflix.
Yeah, I mean, I used to do.
I wouldn't call it boutique.
Well, it depends on what customer service you're talking about.
Oh no,
'cause
I was talking about at the shop.
you know customer service and I know
Different level
customer
of
service.
service.
It's like I worked for Sam's Club at one time, doing forklift driving, packing stuff down while people were there. You know what I mean? I worked for Home Depot, same thing. You know what I mean? I worked at a lot of these jobs. You know what I mean? And it's like I worked for Target for like 4 years. You know what I mean? And it's like there's a limit. There's good customer quality service, but the servitude of you're a slave and you have to do what I say. You know what I mean? There's a very thin line, I believe there. There's a very thin line.
Well, that's boiled down to morale,
Right.
right?
Because someone's like, you work for me because you work here. No, bro.
Now that's up to you to
You gotta know yourself.
if you have some kind of union to step in, or if that's something you feel like you cannot handle. And if you have to make sure you have another choice, make sure you have another option, because keep in mind as a man you have to be able to maintain yourself in this society. So you make sure you have something on the side that you're about to get, and then if you can't handle it, you leave it and move on.
Right.
That's all it's all about, man. Just controlling your reaction.
Right. Right.
Know thyself, really and truly. Control. It's simply this. Know thyself. Control your reaction.
Well, to control your reaction, you have to know what your impulse is, and you have to know what the ideal reaction is.
Yes,
So controlling yourself would know to fight against your impulse,
Right.
and then secondly to know where to push that energy and where to direct it. And how
Yes,
to-
sir.
how to
Yes,
do it.
sir. Perfect. Channeling your energy into the right direction.
Right.
You can conserve the energy for something else. Like for example, know thyself. How to channel your energy, really and truly. You can really hold that energy in and let it go in the gym. So now that energy is working, that anger is now being put inside your muscle fibers to make them bigger and stronger. So now that energy is no longer affecting your surroundings, it's making your muscle grow, that aggression. Because there's nothing wrong with being angry, because anger gets shit done.
Anger's energy.
Right? Anger gets shit done. You get things done a lot faster with anger, but you have to know how and where to channel it.
There's something I want to show, because growing up, like, I'm not gonna lie, I had anger problems. I was like the Hulk when I was a kid. You know what I mean? I was getting into fights all the time, all that stuff. And the thing is, I had to grow up with different psychologists, and all of them never helped me. There was only one psychologist that helped me, basing off what you're talking about with anger. And he's like, because everybody was saying, oh, be happy, be positive, be positive. This guy was like, no, be angry. He said, but use your anger towards an appropriate focus. Because if anger is energy, you can use it. You see what I'm saying? And you funnel that energy into something appropriate, for whatever cause or whatever your will you want to do. So till this day, that's the only, it was Dr. Lowry. He's the only one that ever helped me. And he's dead now, rest in peace, but he was an old man when I was a kid, but he told me, you have to funnel the energy. And he taught me techniques and ways how to do that. And it was like, energy, it's, when you get angry, that's energy. When you get happy, that's energy. You just gotta know how to focus and channel and use it towards an appropriate focus.
You have to release it.
You know what I'm saying? You have to release it in proper ways, not just, in disciplined ways, in controlled ways. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Hard. See, what we have misconstrued in this generation, we think hard means bad. Like for instance, if I say I want to start a cigar lounge,
Right.
Somebody gonna be like, man, but you ain't got no money, you broke. That's hard. That's gonna be hard for you. But does hard mean it's bad?
No, it just means it's a challenge.
But in this society, they teach us, not social media, because social media gives you the dream of everything possible. But beyond that spectrum, hard doesn't mean you can't get it done.
Right.
It just means the journey is gonna strengthen you even more.
Right. And that's what they always say. It's not the destination; it's the journey.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I think that's pretty much what we have on that one. Frontin. That's the next topic we want to talk about. And on frontin, we're gonna leave that one to big old Mike over there, Magnum Mike.
Well, I mean, you know, when you're getting into self, right? Everybody wears a lot of hats, right? Like you'll be with
You
one
probably,
person.
Mike, I can't hear you.
No, I'm saying everybody wears a lot of hats. You know,
Right.
they put on a lot of different roles, and you're not going to be, for instance, the same person in front of your kids that you're going
Right.
to be in front of your wife when you're in closed doors.
Right.
Because that's just, you know, that's a logical degree of separation. But you will have people who will be out there, and it's a part of their MO to put up a front where they're not going to be 100% real with you.
Right. Straight up.
And, you know, you'll be in a discussion with them, and I mean, you'll catch them in it. You know, you'll see them where, oh, wait a minute, he's acting like he knows what he's talking about, but I looked it up. He really doesn't.
So who are the main people that you noticed? Because I mean, everybody does it. Everybody in their life has done it once or twice. If they're in a situation or they're in a circumstance where they had to or whatever. But how many? What main people do you notice ever doing that? If there is
Celebrities.
Celebrities.
Think about it.
Okay.
Think about it, okay? Everybody who's an actor, they're a professional faker.
Yeah.
Professional faker.
You have a hard rapper from the suburbs act like he's from the hood and trying to glorify that.
Well, no, I mean, in just the most basic sense, they put themselves into any role. They're a chameleon.
Right.
Okay? So you'll see them sitting down in an interview, and it depends on what movie they're doing. They don't know which one to be.
Right.
You know? And a lot of times, like, they could catch a role that'll stick with them.
Right.
Like, you look at Heath Ledger. I mean, he pretty much died in character.
Yeah.
Okay? So, if you think about it, it takes a toll, because sometimes...
Because actors, they get lost in it.
You get lost in the sauce. You don't know where to differentiate your personality from the one you just created.
That's scary.
Yeah, I mean, that's a deep front.
You know, what's his name? Is it Anthony Hopkins?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was when he played Hannibal Lecter. They said that when he went home, like afterwards, like for years or something like this, he was like eating fava beans and like actually doing that.
Yep.
Like I was like, whoa! I heard about that. I don't know if that's true or not, but I heard about that. I was like, whoa. You know?
Because, I mean, if you put yourself into that frame of thought,
And he's one of my favorite
time,
actors, by the way.
it only takes 90 days to set a habit.
It takes 21 days to break one.
But the thing is that if you routinely keep doing something, you remember we were talking about fake it till you make it,
Right.
you will eventually become that thing. And that's what a lot of people's goal is when they do that.
Right.
But the problem is that what if you're setting something up based on false information because you don't know what's up?
Right.
Now you've set up a fake personality with nothing backing it. So you're stuck.
So pretty much fronting is pretty much deriving from the lack of information.
It's the inauthentic self
Like-
based on an image.
Like for instance, as they were touching on, hip hop / gangster rap / drill rap, drill music, what we're dealing with right
You
now.
can tell the real from the fake.
Right.
Real talk.
So
Yeah.
what a lot of people don't understand, where the lack of information comes in, a lot of these middle class kids, lower middle class kids, and upper middle class kids, who grew up with everything they need,
They don't know the difference.
and pretty much they want to embody this lifestyle of a gangster, but they don't know what it entails,
They don't know the difference.
right? They lack information.
Right.
Well, you'll see a young kid go to school one year,
But
dressed like a cowboy. The next year, listening to rap. Third year out.
What's up, son? Yes, son.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The house, my hands, and everything else.
Seriously.
But believe it or not, my greatest example of front is really one with myself fronting. Me doing something, and this really hit me. This one guy, his name was Mike, just like my brother Mike here, and I used to smoke cigars at a cigar lounge right up the street called, Long Ash. This is La Ferrona. I was at Long Ash, another cigar lounge,
Yep.
and
Good lounge, by the way.
I was speaking to this gentleman about a form of real estate called wholesale retail real estate. So it's called wholesale retail, and pretty much what it is finding houses that are on lien, that has a lien on it. You find properties that has lien on it. People who been caught up in mortgage debts and can't pay it off, or people who has, you know, y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but people who have like tax problems, who are paying taxes on their houses, and you will find these houses, and then you will find investors on who are interested in purchasing these houses. And you can purchase the house simply by paying the tax off or paying the mortgage off.
You gotta go to the courthouse.
And then pretty much, process, going to the courthouse and everything. You pretty much buying the debt of somebody else.
It could be $5, it could be $2,000, it could be $12,000, but if you pay it off, it's your house.
Right. So
Basically what he's saying.
So I talked to him about it, but I wasn't doing anything. This man put boots on the ground, drove around these neighborhoods while I'm talking and watching YouTube videos. He heard it from me one time, learned it from the YouTube video, purchased a class from a YouTube video from a guy who lives in Texas, mastered it, and bought his property. And he showed me a $20,000 check. That blew me away. That taught me that I was just fronting. I'm giving him all this information and I'm not doing anything about it. I'm fronting like I know something. You know what I mean? But he took it and put boots on the ground. He put action to it, you know? So that's what fronting does, you know? It does nothing for you. All it does is pretty much keeps you in this box that you never get out of. This box that you think that you know what you're talking about. And it's all entertainment talk. It's not about getting nothing done, you know? And that's why we as men need to stop fronting, because it doesn't give us an image of strength. Because believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, women can smell this. Women know when you're fronting. They know. They can feel your energy. They can feel that you are not a solid person. They can see it within your actions, you know? So it's good to put boots on the ground and do what you need to do as a man and build yourself.
So then I'll go to my previous question then. What is the difference between putting a front up and speaking something into existence that you don't yet have?
You have to be humble. Because that's the thing. Yes. If you act like you know,
Yeah.
that's not a humble attitude.
No, but you have to act as if you know in order for some things to manifest.
Pretty much. But when I was talking about fronting, I'm speaking of the action.
Well,
you know,
so that's the question.
Not speaking into existence.
So is it a front if you're not quite at a level, or you haven't quite achieved something yet, but you're still working towards it, saying that you are what you are? You know, I don't know if it's a perfect example, but think about Muhammad Ali.
Well,
I mean, he talk and walk.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is. When you fronting is like Muhammad Ali saying, I'm gonna beat Sonny Liston, I'm gonna make sure I knock Sonny Liston out in the third round. And then all of a sudden, the fight goes 15 rounds. Right? That's fronting.
But was it unhealthy?
No, it was not unhealthy.
So it wasn't a negative.
Well, let me rephrase it. I'm gonna rephrase it. Fronting is Muhammad Ali knowing himself that he did not train hard enough. He's been partying and drinking, and he knows that he's not trained and conditioned to fight this man. Went and fought him and got knocked out because his stamina wasn't high enough.
So it's only
when you look at Muhammad Ali, I don't think that anybody would point to Muhammad Ali and say that he was not acting like who he was.
No, sir. We're giving an example.
Yeah.
So we're saying, hypothetically speaking, Muhammad Ali did not train and he was not in good shape for a fight, and then went and fought the guy, saying that he could beat him, knowing within himself that he did not train hard enough to beat this guy.
So you only know that it was a front in a negative way after, whether or not whatever you spoke into existence came about.
Pretty much, a person gets found out.
Yeah, but we don't judge people that they're fronting until we find out in the present, right? We'll call out somebody up in the present.
When I'm speaking
for putting up a front.
Right, well, fronting, when I'm speaking about fronting, right, I'm not talking about people recognizing that you're fronting. I'm talking about you yourself as a man. That's why, you know, as again, the topic of the podcast, know thyself. So when I'm speaking about fronting, I'm talking about you within yourself knowing that you're fronting, because that's the most important thing. It's not about.
What if the front is an ideal? What if the front is a positive thing? I lie to myself every fucking
There's a difference
every
between
morning.
motivation and just being full of shit. Yeah.
What's the difference?
No, not.
Where's the line? What's the difference? What's the difference of me lying to myself every morning, telling me I'm going to be a certain type of man, I'm going to achieve certain goals, and go to bed farther behind than I was ahead? So what's the difference?
See,
Experience versus front.
For instance, like you saying to yourself, right, that I want to go down to 220 pounds, rock solid, chiseled.
Let's say 240. I would never want to.
240. This hypothetically speaking.
Yeah.
240, rock solid muscle. And you keep saying that to yourself every day. But instead of working out, you get up and get on YouTube and Facebook watching workout videos every single day. Every single day.
But you ain't working out.
But you're not working out.
Yeah.
You're just admiring other people working out, and you're chanting, pretty much chanting a mantra to yourself every day, saying that I can do this, but you're not doing it.
So what he
There's a ton
said.
of motivational gurus too.
Huh?
I mean, they're all over the place on YouTube. A ton of motivational gurus, and they're saying this is the way. And you get all hyped up and you get all motivated, but if you're just sitting on your ass, you're not producing results. It's the results that determine it.
It's like Nike, just do it.
Is it the results or is it the action? Because you don't always get results.
But the thing is if you act towards something and you're not in the process of correcting yourself, you got bad information. You can't act like you are that thing. Like if I'm sitting there, I'm drawing, for example, okay? I like to do artwork. I'm not a paid artist, but I like to do artwork in my spare time. I can look at something and I can know where everything goes, get everything in proportion, get everything with the colors right, because there's a knowledge behind that craft that I apply to my work. But if I were to go up to somebody else who's a more proficient artist than me, I would be listening. I would humble myself.
Yeah, but it's like I said, it's like
If somebody
Nike,
asked
just
me how to
do
do
it.
something, I could show them.
But Magnum Mike, it's like you said, Nike, just do it.
Right.
The problem is sometimes when you're trying to lose weight, right? Sometimes people don't have the correct knowledge to lose the weight. They hear this person, I hear it all the time. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause I'm trying to lose some weight. You know what I mean? I'm a pretty big guy, but it's like I'm trying to get skinnier, like Bruce Lee figure, and it's like this person saying this person saying that, this person saying, and they're all saying something that's true, but it's like so many things. You have to do what's right for you. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is, like, experience versus fronting. So you can speak positive things into your life, but at the same time, you have to be able to do what you're saying. You see what I'm saying? So you could, like he was saying, you could watch these motivational videos and motivate yourself and all that stuff. But if you never do it, and that's the hard part, believe it or not, is doing. You know what I mean? And that's the difference between fronting and doing. Like, you know what I'm saying? People sit there and they talk this and that and this. A lot of times, and you've done it, Mike's done it, Dre's done it. You know what I'm saying? We have to check people when they say certain things and be like, where'd you get that from? Because if it doesn't tie into a certain, not understanding of the system, but a certain understanding of common sense, you know what I mean? It just ain't lining up.
Like for instance, Big Joe, Tampa Joe, at my job. I've been at my job for 10 years. I know how to drive everything moving. I'm not fronting, I'm serious. I drove. I know how to drive a forklift.
But you had to learn that.
Yes. I had to humble myself. I had to learn that. I can't front like I know it. So I have to drive a forklift, bobcat, everything, etc. Right? And I remember a lot of orange hats that I have to train. Right? And I kid you not, I'm training these guys how to drive a forklift. I can flip a quarter with a forklift fork. Literally. And I'm training these guys that they never touch a forklift in their life. And they will get frustrated as if I don't know what I'm talking about. And they'll literally turn around and look at me and say, no, I got this. And they'll pick up a 3,200 pound pallet and break it open. Simply because they do not want to listen. They feel like they already know. They're fronting like they know. And that's what fronting does. It creates catastrophic results. It does not create anything to build anything for you. It destroys your goal. Just like how that pallet crashes, that is how your goal crashed in front of your face.
You gotta be humble
when you're
because
fronting.
pride comes before the fall. Right?
You know.
Very simple.
You know,
right.
so that's pretty much all in all.
The guy who is telling himself every morning, waking up, you know, has no money, right? Living probably with his parents, has huge, massive goals, and waking up, telling himself every morning, I'm going to be a millionaire, I'm going to have this, I'm going to have multiple businesses, I'm going to have a family, I'm going to have an amazing wife, I'm going to have an amazing life. And he's probably 20 years down the road speaking, but he's speaking this every single day. What is the difference between that man speaking that out loud, trying to manifest it, and him fronting about what he's going to be?
Those are what you're talking about.
You have
Is
to have
goals.
effort, you have to have action, you have to have knowledge.
Yeah, you have
There's
goals.
follow through on
Well,
it. He's gonna have
But you have to set the goals.
So
that you
he's
have to
not
actually do.
fronting, even if he's 20, 30 years away from his goal.
Well, sir,
No, I
okay,
would say he is.
that wouldn't be fronting.
I'm just
That
saying he is fronting.
that would be affirmation. He's affirmed. That's step one to building yourself.
Yeah.
That's not fronting.
So then what is fronting?
So the difference between fronting, right, is literally, right, knowing that you have the knowledge right there in front of you. You know that you do not know what you're doing, and you have the opportunity to learn, but you're acting as if you already know what you're doing.
I think he's talking about the Biggie Smalls game. Okay? Because the Biggie Smalls game, like when he first came out, he was doing like everything on credit, and he was acting like he was living large in all the videos. Dude was broke as fuck. But the thing is, he was looking like he was the big game, and then he made it to the big time.
Now, hold
Now,
on. Before you say that, I like some of Biggie's stuff, and people worship Biggie these days. But at the same time, Biggie was hustling before he was doing that. And when Puffy came to him, was, we can do this and this and this. You know what I'm saying? Biggie's like, all right, I'm with it. You know what I'm saying? But he was real from the get-go. He was fronting in that sense, but he was real in the sense that he was real.
But the
You see
reason
what I'm
why I
saying?
bring that up is because it's very specific why I brought that up. Because he was fronting like he had that money and he didn't. And then he got there. And I understand affirmations. I understand where you're like trying to goal set and trying to build something. And that's great. But you have to also be aware of where you're at presently and how you're working toward that goal to manifest it.
Yes, you must have a plan. So somebody who fronts does not have a plan. Like that guy, that's step one. Now, if he doesn't perform his minor steps after the affirmation, the minor steps. Okay, I want a business. What is he doing? Okay, how about I mow this lawn for this lady right next door? Let's see how I can do that. Any little small thing to see how you can manage, how you can put that boots on the ground and manage money. Money management, discipline, putting the work in, being responsible for your resources.
I got a perfect example. This is the perfect example of fronting. My last job, I worked a part-time security job just for some pocket money, okay? Some food and some gas kind of stuff, all right? There was this dude that I was working with. This dude said everything under the sun. This is when we had the business, all right? The Pantheon Unlimited business. And we were running a literal LLC. And this guy was saying, I got this, and I got that, and I got that. And I called him on it. You know what I'm saying? He goes, I got this AK-47 from 1940. I'm like, wait a minute. They didn't make AK-47 until 1947. So it's called AK-47. All right? That's the original reason why they had it, called AK-47. And I'm like, dude, you don't have an AK-47 from 1940. You just don't.
Fronting like a
You
knowledge.
front. And he's like, yeah, I'm running this business with my uncle. All right? I have this business with my uncle with this nightclub. I was like, for real. And I looked him up, and I was looking all up his stuff because he was fronting. You know what I'm saying? I showed him, I was like, look, I put up our stuff. I was like, look, Pantheon Unlimited LLC. I looked it up, and I was like, look, we're an actual business. We have actual credentials. This guy was just fronting. He was lying about everything. And you could see it through his teeth. And you could tell when someone's lying because they make these grand, tall tales. You know what I'm saying? Anything I say I do, I'll show you. I'm not going to just say, yeah, this and that and this. Just, you know what I mean?
Because you can see somebody, they're making minimum wage, but they'll go out, they'll buy a $50 stick, they're running around with, suit and everything, everything purchased on credit, they got like a really nice car, but it's on a lease.
Have you ever seen the movie Dirty Rotten Scoundrels?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect example. That's a con man movie. Perfect example. Leap of Faith? Perfect example.
So Ryan, So to answer your question, right, pretty much fronting. So a sign of a man fronting is pretty much someone, that's how a big deal says, someone who you will see evidence of lack of information. Number one, somebody who fronts always does not have the right information.
I would disagree.
But
I don't think it's the lack of information. I think it's the lack of action in any direction whatsoever towards it.
yes, but somebody who
But it's
fronts,
not a lack of information because you're always learning. Everybody, in some sense, is lacking whatever knowledge to take them to the next level. So I don't think that fronting would be the lack of knowledge or the lack of,
Well, I think
of
what-
anything that you understand. That's part of it.
Right.
That's part of growing it, no matter what.
Right.
But I think it's the lack of action. I think that's what we're talking about. So when you're going to tell somebody to stop fronting, to be more specific, if you're going to speak something, if you're going to say that that either you're doing something or you are something,
yes, sir.
then whether or not you're truly that thing, you have to be taking action towards it.
Yes,
So the
sir.
only time you really can criticize somebody to be fronting, right?
The lack of action.
Is whether or not they're taking action.
Yes, sir.
towards it or not.
And I'll give you a perfect example. In this lounge right here, I met a gentleman who claims that he does wholesale retail real estate. And I asked this gentleman, I said, look, man, I'm hungry. Give me anything to that pertains. I will go door to door and hand out business cards for you to get you customers. If I have to walk and take a bus to do it, I will do it. I asked him one simple question. Can you please give me those business cards? I have not seen that man ever again. So he claimed of something, but I haven't seen no evidence of it.
Dre, you know the favorite song I love about that? Faking the Funk, 1992. That song says it all.
Yeah.
You're faking the funk. It's straight up. And if you never heard that song, you need to hear it. It's an old hip hop 1992 song. Faking the funk. I still bump that to this day. Because it's true, people are faking the funk, man. Talking that extra hard jump, you're probably a punk. That's what he's saying.
Yeah.
But the thing is, when someone's faking a funk or fronting, you have to call them out on it. If they're going too far with it, you gotta call BS, man. You gotta call BS and be like, show me, where'd you get that from?
So we had came to a conclusion on our talking point on for a man to know himself, and pretty much in a nutshell, as a man, you make sure everything that you need to be done to improve yourself to be valuable in the society, you make it to the best as possible. You know, anything you need to improve on, you pretty much work on it to the best of your ability and not deviate to anything else. Pretty much what I was trying to say as a man, you know, viewers, you know, men, for all my men out there, my young men coming up, focus on yourself totally and completely before you think about deviating to anything. And that's pretty much, you know, my wrap-up point right there.
All right, so next week, our topic for next week, no excuses. And that's my topic. So, and what I mean by the no excuses is that people that are using people as a scapegoat and people that are lazy at the same time. We're gonna look on both spectrums. But until then, we'll talk to you then. Iron Truth.